Okay. Maybe this is working. I don't know. I don't know. This is certainly not good. Is there anybody there? Wouldn't appear so, not as yet. Ah, I am wrong. Okay, good. Right. Well, I'm actually on my cell phone because maybe it's my computer that's causing this because I even changed rooms in the house and that didn't do a damn thing. And so I kind of waved the white flag with my laptop and coming to you from my iPhone. So hey, welcome along, guys. Sorry about the what was that? Three false starts. It's got to be something to do with my laptop. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. Welcome to everyone. Old timer F7 sipping Highland Park Scotch. Very nice. Very nice. Stray Bullet, good to have you in here. Robert Meyer, sorry. The comments are fairly small on my phone screen, so unfinished projects here too. The dude. Andy Nickel, welcome along, man. Paul Funk, it's damn cold here. I want to go to New Zealand. Yeah, mate, it's warm there. It's warm there. I'm not fond of this format. Stray Bullet. Sorry, man. Does this look different or like what's orientation is locked? Okay. So I have to do it this way. I guess it's just like that vertical screen on whatever you're watching it on. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what else to do. My laptop just would not connect. It was going through the motions, kind of a bit like last week, but then it just said, the connection was unstable. But as soon as I tried it on the cell phone, it was like, boom, straight through. When I turn my phone sideways, Kiwi Mars, it just comes up on the thing. Sorry, says orientation is locked. Rotate device back. So it doesn't want me to do that. I don't know whether it's because I started it in the vertical position or not. I'm not sure. But it doesn't want to do it now. It doesn't want to change now. And it's not my phone that's locked. It's on the settings. It could be the fact that I started it in this vertically like this. Andy Nichols, sorry to have missed last week, mate. I mean, yeah, it's a shame you missed it. It was a good night. It was a great night, but I mean, it is what it is, man. Don't feel bad about it. It's sometimes you guys can make it, sometimes you can't. The dude, welcome AI, yeah. Paul Funk, Lake Taupo, nice. Mustang Mike, hello, how you doing, bud? Beagle Bob, here we are. Yes, better late than never, huh? As I was saying a minute ago, it appears to be my laptop is the culprit. As soon as I got on my phone, so yeah, again, sorry about the vertical view, but I'm here, which is better than you guys staring at a blank screen. Old timer, I'm a logger in NH. It was 12 below zero when I stepped out of the truck this morning. When I stepped out of the truck this AM to start the machines. Wow, that's very cold. Stray Bullet, I finally figured out what your shop used to be, Kiwi. It used to be a masonry rock supply shop. Well, part of it was, yeah. That part where you see me, sometimes we do the intro to the videos where we drive up. That was like a stone yard, exactly. Glenn, hey Kiwi, howdy from Queensland. Hey, good to have you here, mate. Stray Bullet, none of the hardscape at your shop is made of the same materials. Yeah, exactly. They used all sorts of different ones as like a showcase. So yeah, and they moved out like a couple of decades ago, and yeah, the landlord's just left it like it was. So Beagle Bob, is your browser updated and your camera and microphone settings on? Yes, the camera and microphone settings are on. The browser updated, maybe not. I'm not sure about that. I'm going to have to obviously do. I thought it was just a one-off thing last week when I had Kevin and TC here, but yeah, it didn't want to. I mean, I guess we just got lucky last week in that when I ended the stream and started a new one, and it worked straight away. But yeah, tonight I tried 3 times, it was not happening. Oh, the dude, I've got a link to put up a link to my merch. Well, thank you, sir. Here's there's some merch there, and we got this one's got large Marge on the back. Picture of the old wagon, so it's a cool shirt actually. Mopar L, glad to see you were in my old stomping grounds in Tampa. Oh, okay. I didn't realise that was your old stomping ground. Welcome in. I haven't seen you in here for a while, Mopar L. Good to have you here, man. Fred Nick, first time I was on time, and yeah, so was I, mate. I was sat there at 6:59 and I hit the button when it rolled on to 7 and nobody home. Yeah, very frustrating. Darren Guy, hey Kiwi, I passed your shop Tuesday while you were working outside. Tuesday? Well, last Tuesday must have been. I was in the 67 Cutlass that made all the noise. Okay, I get it. Yep. Old timer F7. Put a supercharged 347 cubic inch Windsor in that Falcon when the owner isn't looking. Yeah. Well, even if he wasn't looking, I think he'd notice, from 105 horsepower to 500 or more. Yeah, I do think he'd notice. Sorry, I'm just picking up my drink. So yeah, been busy this week. Been working pretty solidly on Casper this week. Yeah, getting that rear suspension sorted out, which has been quite a bit of head scratching time, figuring out how we're going to do it. Because yeah, it's that Scott's hot rod suspension, and really, like, it's nice, tricky stuff, but it was designed for his chassis. It was not designed for a Mustang chassis or unibody, and they just kind of banged a few brackets in there and said, yeah, so one of these should work and have at it. And yeah, it's I mean, it's all doable, but it's just a lot of trial and error and a lot more fabrication than it needs to be. So yeah, Scott's stuff is nice, but yeah, I wouldn't buy it for a Mustang. So Mopar L, how's that Studebaker of yours coming along? Beagle Bob, is that a 4-link? Yes, it's a 4-link, and the last video I did on Casper, I was putting the actual 4-link in, like the bars that run front to back, like lengthways along the car. And then what I've been doing today and Monday was setting it all up for the 4-link and getting the coilover shocks mounted, because none of that was in there. So yeah, I've had to reinforce the chassis rails quite a bit where it's all got a mount on there, because while Scott's Hot Rod said just weld it to the chassis that's there, it's like, that's just not strong enough. The shock mounts, well, they carries all the weight of the car, or the back half of the car, and the Wattslink, which is like a 2-piece panhard bar, that takes all the lateral loads, and if you're cornering hard and the road's bumpy, that the lateral loads going into that panhard / Wattslink is way more than you'd think. Fred Nurk, and don't forget the radiator cap. No, you can't do that. Old timer, how many cars are you working on at one time? Uh, Gosh, um, it varies because there's shorter jobs that come and go. But we've got three kind of longer term projects in there at the moment, and then plus all my stuff, plus the smaller jobs of customers. We've got a lovely F like a 1970 F100 XLT Ranger truck in there, which is very very similar to the one that I just bought, just 4 years younger. So that is a bump side, not a dent side. The dude, Kiwi, would you be willing to box Tony in a YouTube charity event? Um, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question. I mean, I don't have, you know, that kind of animosity with Tony. But yeah, I mean, for a charity event, I'd probably, you know, try most things. I think, but it's not something that we obviously had our big disagreement, but like I don't want to get into a fight with him because of that. If that's where I'm not sure where you're coming from with this. So is that actually a thing? This a YouTube charity event, or yeah, I'm not too sure there. Where Bunny 35967. Hey Kiwi, hey man, how you doing? John Wilburn, how are you, buddy? Good to see you in here. Good to see you in here. Old timer, bump sides forever. So you prefer bump sides to dent sides? Well, I got a dent side, but I won't take that personally, mate. John Wilburn, I'm not sure I've even seen you in here before, but hey, it's good to have you along, man. What's new with you guys? Stray bullet. Would you box Mike Tyson for a couple of $1 million? Hell yes, I would. For a couple of million? I mean, it's not going to take him long to dispatch me, is it? Like, really? So, yeah, I mean, for, 30 seconds work, yeah, $2 million, I'm in. I'd do it for half that. I mean, they can only knock you out once, like, and then, then you get carried off and live to tell the tale, hopefully. Connor Carlin. G'day, mate. How are you? Good to see you. Good to want to see you, but to have you here. Yeah. The dude, remember when Mike Tyson fought with a broken back? Spot. Really? I wasn't aware of that. Wow. Yeah, Mike in his prime was formidable. Old timer F7. Apparently, there was some big sports ball event recently. All the kids are chirping about it. Yeah, that's probably why I'm unaware of it, because it's a young person's thing. Um, so yeah, um, but yeah, I've seen those celebrity boxing matches and stuff, and it's like, yeah, yeah, if it was the right charity, yeah, why not? Oh, Super Bowl. Okay, sorry, I missed that, mate. Sorry, I didn't pick up on that. I did actually watch Super Bowl. Um, Kind of on and off. It was a bit of a whitewash, really, wasn't it? Mrs. Kiwi's a big Kansas City supporter, but yeah, she was not happy. As I guess half the people watching weren't happy. Long Island Mopars, I finally made alive. Well, hey, glad to have you here, man. Sipping on an old fashioned, oh nice, made with Jim Beam 7-year aged bourbon. It's snowing up here in Long Island. Yeah, it's fairly. It's not that cold here, but it's fairly cold. Not like it was a few weeks back when we had the snow, and then last week was nice. We had 70 degrees, I think, last week. Old timer, I gave up on the FNL when they started. In FNL, NFL, when they started disrespecting the national anthem. Yeah, yeah, that was. Yeah, when that kind of whole taking the knee thing was, yeah, yeah, it didn't do anybody any good really. That Michael Morgan, any special message, or are you just hanging, having a drink with friends? Yeah, basically that's it. Yeah, Michael, just hanging and having a drink with friends, and it was awesome to have a couple of special guests last week, and we're going to try and get someone in, at least once a month. Um, and I'm trying to get Tommy Boches from of Power Nation TV, and we're trying to get him on, and I think he's really got to clear it with his upper management, because it's it can be seen as a bit of a clash between what he does on TV versus and then someone else's social media. So if we can get the I's dotted and T's crossed on that, then may have Tommy Boches here as well. So I'm sure most of you have heard of him, Muscle Car TV and those kinds of things. John Wilburn, I can't get upset about sports. The losers make more money than I'll ever earn in the rest of my life. Yeah, it's crazy money, isn't it? Stuff like the NFL and the NBA and the whole fight game and stuff like that it's huge money. Derwick Deberjack, different format. A lot of snow in DC. Yes, it's the different format because I could not get my laptop to work. It was just not playing the game. And I was trying to go live and I could see you guys' comments and it was coming up on my screen, but it just wouldn't actually broadcast live. So I tried 3 times and then I jumped onto my phone in the upright position and here we are. It worked straight away on my phone. So I have a feeling, and I'm kind of looking over to my left here at my laptop thinking, you got to go. Its days are numbered. What am I sipping? Tonight I'm sipping some Jack Daniel's apple bourbon. So it's quite nice, very drinkable, very drinkable. Jeff R, g'day from Adelaide, South Australia. Hey buddy, how you doing? Only 110 degrees Fahrenheit here today. Still no rain. Been a month. Ooh. Yeah, that's going to be getting dry, isn't it? Mate, last time I was in Adelaide, it was for the Adelaide Grand Prix. And Michael Schumacher was racing, which I can't remember the year. I've got some souvenirs of his from that race. But yeah, that was a long time ago. Morgan, Evan Bruv, I'm joining you. I have a straight rye whiskey minor case. Cheers. Yeah, good on you, man. Beagle Bob, does that truck have the funky twin I-beam suspension? Yes, it does. If so, you should 4-wheel drive swap or put a Crown Vic front clip under it for rear-wheel drive. Yeah, I'm not going to go full. I don't, what's involved in converting to 4-wheel drive is just not worth it to me. I don't need a 4-wheel drive truck. If I was putting something huge horsepower, it would be kind of fun to have all-wheel drive to get some traction and stuff. But I'm not going huge horsepower in it. But the Crown Vic is a definite possibility. I've kind of watched a few videos on doing that, and it seems a relatively straightforward swap. With huge upsides to the handling and the drivability of the truck. So that seems like a pretty good idea. Alan Shildroff, got a brake that grinds. Pads look fine. Rotors are not bad. I have not measured them. Looking for time to do it. What else would cause this? Not sure about the caliper. Grinding. What could that be? Like your wheel bearings in good shape. You haven't got an excessive amount of clearance in your wheel bearings that it's allowing the rotor to kind of cock over. Pushing the pads maybe into the caliper or pushing the rotor into the caliper, something like that. Um, Generally, if it's grinding, there should be some visible sign of something touching somewhere. Um, and it can be sometimes it can be the little shims, little spring-loaded shim clips that go in there that try to stop pad squeal or pad rattle. Sometimes those can get themselves out of where they're supposed to be and start rubbing. Um, but typically, if you've got a grind, and as soon as you've done, like just a couple of miles with it grinding, you should see some sign of wear, some sort of marking up going on, and that's what you need to be looking out for. But yeah. 1-800. Would you ever import a Holden or just buy the US counterpart? If No, probably not buy a US counterpart. If I was going to bring one in, it'd be like a Holden Ute, or the Maloo or something like that. That wasn't available here, or the Falcon XR6 or XR8, something like that. That again wasn't available here. Um, yeah, it would be cool to have something Australian that is not, just not that hasn't been rebadged here. The dude, Alan, did you make sure the dust shield is not rubbing on the rotor? Yep, that's another one that can do it. It doesn't always take a lot, and a stone up inside that dust shield can make a lot of grinding noise. Just a small, pea-sized pebble in behind your dust shield can make a real racket. I wasn't really thinking of that because all the disc brake conversions I do, then none of them have dust shields like the factory stuff. Stray Bullet, the twin I-beam is the best truck suspension ever made. Yeah, it's not okay. I'll be honest. I haven't really driven anything with that twin I-beam in, but typically, I mean, I have to be honest with you, Stray Bullet. You're one of the few people that I've come across that has anything good to say about that twin I-beam, other than it's super robust. It's really strong and tough, and you can bounce that across your farm or wherever you need. Climb up steps with it, whatever you can do, and you're not going to hurt that twin I-beam. But as far as a handling package, yeah, maybe not so much. Old timer F7 Kiwi, as I said before, you really need to find and buy a bottle of Calumet Farms bourbon. The 15-year-old and 8-year-old blend is absolutely amazing. Yeah, you have said that before, and I must admit that had gone out of my mind. Sorry, bud, but yeah, I'm going to try and remember to look for that. Is it quite hard to find, or is it a bottle store, a good bottle store kind of purchase, or you got to really hunt for it? The dude, have you ever had an old 4x4? Let me think. Old 4x4. No, not really. No, not old. No, I've driven a few Broncos. That first gen Bronco and stuff like that. And honestly, I mean, I'm not plussed with those. They're not not in my opinion not a. I mean, they're good looking wagons, those early Broncos, but they're not great to drive at all, really. Alan Shildroff seems to happen at low speeds. Hmm. Old timer, brake hoses will cause the brakes to drag. They can if they're starting to swell shut. Yeah, they can. I've seen a set of rear discs just completely toast the rear pads from a brake hose that basically he put the brakes on and they would not release, and he just kept driving. And every time he put his foot on the brakes, it would the pressure of the pedal would force a bit more pressure into the line, but the pads and pad knockoff didn't have enough to push it back out. So he he toasted a set of rear pads like badly. It was on a set of those Woolwoods, and that the Woolwood brakes have they have 4 piston calipers. They have like a left and right half, the two halves, and between the two halves there's an O-ring goes in them for the fluid channel, like the fluid gallery, to go from one side of the caliper to the other. And that calipers and brakes got so hot, it actually melted the little O-ring, and the caliper started leaking because it just the heat didn't really melt it like it dripped out, but it melted it enough that it squashed flat and no longer had any kind of compression to make a seal. And yeah, as soon as you held your foot on the brakes, it started dripping out of the caliper. We put the new hose on it so the fluid could go back, but if you held your pressure on the foot brake, the fluid would leak out between the two halves of the caliper. They were that hot. Stray Bullet, look for loose brake hardware. Yeah, brake hardware. Yeah, as I was saying, those little spring-loaded clips they can end up in some weird places. Stuff that it's like impossible for them to have got there, but there they are. It's quite amazing. Steve Sadusky, hey man, good to have you in the room. Welcome along. Sorry about the vertical view. I had all sorts of fits tonight with my laptop, not wanting to go live. I wanted to, the computer did not. So I gave up on the computer and picked up my iPhone, and here we are. And it won't let me turn it, onto its side. It says don't do that, and tells me to put it back upright again. So it might have been right if I'd started with it horizontal, but if I hadn't already tried, this is the fourth try at going live tonight, so I didn't want to turn the stream off again, turn my phone on its side and start over again. It's like, no, that didn't seem like a good idea. So, D-Rick, Deberjack, my 86 Jeep has straight axles. Yeah, it would do, yeah. I think even the late model Jeep Wranglers are still like a live axle, aren't they? That solid front axle and rear axle. Old timer, easily found. Okay, I'm going to have a look for it. Camulet, I can remember that. Maybe might have to come back and rewatch my own live to get the name again if it disappears out of my brain. Stray Bullet, I love Fords. There you go. The twin I-beam is the longest lasting suspension, and you would have a tough time walking away from me on a mountain road in my old F250. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I believe that. I believe that, yeah. But yeah, maybe perhaps, but we kind of, our trucks have kind of, and what we want to do with our trucks has really evolved, and it's, yeah, we're expecting, much more car type handling out of them. And I guess myself included in that. Old time, I have to sign off. Oh, hey, great for having you in. Thanks for stopping by, and see you next Tuesday. That's an acronym for something, isn't it? See you next Tuesday. That's not really very good, is it? I know what the acronym is, but I'm not going to say it here. Yeah, those they were trucks. That twin I-beam, that 70s, late 60s, 70s Ford trucks were trucks. Now we kind of want them to be a car with a pickup bed. So yeah. Wheelie King 71. I liked you, Kiwi, but how could you possibly justify any beef with Tony or calling that flipper out when you know darn well they would have done nothing about it if it were not for him? Well, I don't know whether you... Bye-bye. Okay, I mean, that's your call. My beef with Tony was not... Yeah, there's more to it than that. It's not as simple as that. There's a good chance they would not have done anything about it had Tony not published that video. The problem was I agreed with my customer not to publish that video until he'd had time to talk with the car dealer and to try and resolve the issues that with the car and obviously the issues he had with the car. And Tony agreed not to do it until this guy had a chance to give the dealership a chance to come to the party or not come to the party, whatever the case may be. Tony decided that video needed to be published immediately, and basically I gave my customer my word, and my customer is my business. You know, Tony has no customers. Tony's business is YouTube and YouTube alone. He doesn't have any paying customers. My YouTube income is negligible. I survive on my customers and my good standing with my customers. So he let me down. I promised my customer one thing. Tony agreed. Tony drove home, published the videos, didn't tell me he published it. I found out, in a roundabout way, when the customer rang up and said, "Hey, what the hell? You said you weren't going to do that." And I'm like, "Do what?" So Tony really dropped me in it. He really threw me under the bus, and that is my beef with him. And I wasn't trying to stick up for the dealership, but there's a way to do things in business, and that was just not the way to do it. And that's the beef. Now, if you don't want to watch my channel anymore, that's your call, man. I have to stand by my ethics, and I feel Tony put the money he made from the video he published when he wasn't supposed to, he put that money ahead of our friendship, and that's on him, not on me. Josh Homan, trucks are the new family car. Yep. They are, absolutely they are. And same with this, SUVs are the most popular family car. Straight Bullet, I will admit that my Silverado has a much better ride. Yeah, but it's not as tough. You're not going to be able to bounce it up that mountain trail like you can with your Ford. So, yeah. Josh Keddins, in the movie Mr. Majestic, Charles Bronson character throws an 86 F100 around, showing how tough the twin I-beam suspension is. Yeah, I've heard about that movie, Mr. Majestic. I haven't seen it. Yeah, I mean, I think if you lined up the latest F1, and F100 or F150 they are now, but certainly against a Raptor it wouldn't have any chance. But even just a regular F150 would handle probably better than an 86 F100. But certainly, yeah, if you were a good driver, could throw the things around for sure. The dude, thanks, man. Yeah, I hate it when people. I mean, I think that guy's just hasn't got the full story, but yeah, I mean, this happened. This was a long time ago, and that's still coming up, and it's like, personally, that thing's long since put to bed. Jeff, is it my imagination that my mildly enhanced 9.5 to 1 Holden 253 idles runs hot starts better than a 95 RON non-ethanol over 98 RON Aussie pump gas? Does the 98 Aussie pump gas have the ethanol in it? On pure gas, typically they will run a little bit better. So I'm not sure whether that's what's going on for you. And honestly, higher octane, like just keep increasing that. You could put 100 octane in it, and they won't actually go better. In some ways, they'll go worse because the 100 octane burns slower. It's a more controlled burn, so you don't get that detonation. So putting up octane is not pumping horsepower into your gas tank. It's the engines are engines and ignition systems are typically tuned to run on a certain grade of gas. So like going up is when you go to a low grade, typically the car will not be that happy to run. It'll feel not as good on a lower grade than you normally run in it. And the same, can be the same going up in octane. It doesn't always, always improve the thing, especially on something like an old 253. If you're talking about a brand new car with all the learning computers and ECUs that it has in it and NOx sensors, then those engines, will improve themselves on the better gas. So, but yeah, it's probably not your imagination at all, mate. You're probably exactly on the money. Carbide Jones, I like last week's live. Good information. Yeah, it was. There was a lot of good info. I know I picked up a couple of little gems myself. So, but yeah, Kevin's a clever dude. He is a clever dude, and TC, he's a good carb builder. He's a little bit like me. He does most of all of it. And whereas Kevin's very much specialising in the paints, so he is, he's when it comes to paint itself, he's kind of next level really. Beagle Bob, America loves V8s and body-on-frame construction. Trucks are the only place to find that since 2011. Yeah, you're absolutely right. America, you're right. America does like love body-on-frame cars. Yeah. Steve Sadusky, very well said, Kiwi. Thank you, sir. A gentleman's agreement is a gentleman's agreement, not to be broken. No, and that's what tipped me over the edge. Wheelie King 71. I appreciate the answer. Okay, I'm glad you're still here, mate. I'm glad you got to hear it. I wasn't sure whether I'd kind of missed you and you'd left the room, so I'm glad you're here. I appreciate the answer. I guess maybe I'm one-sided. I'm hardlined on honest business practices. Fair enough, as you should be. I would have been far more pissed at them regardless, even knowing that. Yeah, no, I don't disagree. That happens way too much at that particular dealership, and they fall back on their no warranty, buyer beware type attitude, and they're kind of like, not, we didn't build it, not our problem, and that's a mentality of consignment classic car yards, and that's a cop out. It's a cop out. It's not what they should be doing. If they don't know much about the cars they're putting on consignment, they should make it their business to know about the car they're putting on consignment. But they seem to be kind of slipping through a little loophole in the law there. The new car dealerships can't get away with that kind of BS. They'll find themselves in court, like once a month or more. They wouldn't get away with it. But these smaller kind of, not that Street Side Classics is small, they've got branches around the country, but it seems to be something to do with the era of the car that that they seem to be able to get away with that poor business practice. Yeah, it is. It's dishonest is, you're really, that's an accusation, a fairly strong accusation. But yeah, I would definitely say poor business practices. I think they need to step up their game as far as putting their own cars up on a rack and employing someone that knows what they're looking at, which is easier said than done. To go through these cars and say to some of the people that want to sell them on their behalf, say no thanks, we don't want your car. But and I haven't talked about this before, but I had a customer or a guy come in and wanted me to do a bit of work on his car, and it was badly rusty. And he was telling me that he's going to take it up to Street Side Classics. And I actually called Street Side Classics and said, hey, this is coming your way. You need to have a very close look at that car before you put it on behalf. And I'm not, I wasn't really sure whether I should do that or not, but I did. And I thought I was giving them a heads up on the premise that maybe they don't always realise what they're selling. They put it up for sale. So, yeah, that probably tells you confirms what you already believe. Stray Bullet, you have to watch Mr. Majestic if you like Charles Bronson. I do like Charles Bronson, so yeah, I'm going to try and dig around for that in all my spare time, when I'm not working on cars. Um, Man, last night I had a hard day yesterday, tough day, and mate, I was in bed before 8 o'clock last night, so there wasn't any feature length movies in my evening last night for one, and then tonight, there won't be time. So yeah, it's amazing. The weeks just absolutely fly by. James Senos, can you share your thoughts and experience with the Chevrolet 396 L78 engine? It's one that came from the GM factory with 375 horsepower engine with the rectangular cylinder heads. Thanks. Look, those GM in that era with their SSs and their, some of their clever engines that they built, they were really clever, and in my opinion, people underestimated them. They would get those engines and then start tinkering with them and try and make them go better. And usually they didn't actually manage to make them go better. The GM engineers that were kind of, given that job to do to make these engines perform, they did a stellar job. They really did. And the only way you're really going to improve on some of that stuff is going, the modern kind of aluminum heads and some of the modern technology. But for the back in the day when they were made, those things really went hard. And like their 375 horsepower engine was probably 50 more horsepower than that, and possibly more. Like they were notorious for underrating the horsepower. But if you can get your hands on a real SS engine, these L78s, those known high performance GM factory high performance engines are superb. They go so well. Many years ago, two different friends of mine. One had a what was a 51 Ford with a 396 SS, an actual real deal SS 396 in it. And I'm not sure whether it was an L78 or not. I don't recall that much detail, but it was a factory. I know it was SS 396. And then another buddy of mine had a 55 Chevy with a 427 in it. And this thing was cammed up and had the big headers, and like when it idled, it was like the engine was trying to get out of the engine bay. It was a wild child to listen to. And the two of them took him down the drag strip, and the 396 SS just walked away from the 427. And the 396 SS just idled, like grandma's car. It was, you could tell it was a little bit serious, but it didn't sound wild at all. And man, he probably beat this 427 by 10 car lengths, something like that. The guy with the 427 was devastated, because he thought he had this in the bag because he was, 30 more cubic inches than this 396, and he had a big carbon, aluminum intakes and all this stuff. And, he thought that he had that race won in his head before he even got to the racetrack, but he was disappointed. Yeah. Beagle Bob, ethanol has less energy density than gasoline. E85 is very compression resistant, but you will get about 60% of the miles per gallon. You're right on the money there. They started running, a couple of the open wheeler classes back in New Zealand started running ethanol. And the problem they were having, they had to shorten the races because the fuel tanks that they had in them didn't have enough to kind of do the regulation amount of laps that they used to do. That they just would run out of fuel. The tanks weren't big enough. And being a little open wheeler, you can't just stick an extra 10 gallons in there somewhere. There's every bit of real estate in those open wheelers is used up, and the tank they had in them was as big as it got. So yeah. Fred Gomez, what's in your glass tonight, Kiwi? It is Jack Daniel's apple bourbon. So it's got a little bit of an apple flavour to it. I'm quite partial to that, actually. It's quite nice. It's just a nice, easy drinking, sipping bourbon whiskey. Long Island Mopars, buddy of mine thinks Cam 2 is rocket fuel and makes his stock 9.9 to 1 compression ratio 383 Chrysler go faster. Can't convince him that higher octane has nothing to do with making power if the engine isn't set up for it. Exactly right. And I'll be honest, I fell into that same trap as a young guy myself. Horsepower in not horsepower in a bottle, but horsepower in a gas can, I guess. Um, certain engine, but 9-to-1. Yeah, you don't need good gas on a 9-to-1 engine, but people believe what they want to believe, and yeah. Wheeler King. I guess my point with my second response could be summed up as the flipper was not your customer. No, you're right. They weren't. They will do the same again, quite possibly. Yes, you're right. In the end, or my customer, not me, my customer got the outcome he wanted and he got a refund. Would he have got it without Tony's video? Maybe not. We'll actually never know. We never got the chance to find out whether, like Tony took that opportunity away from us. And probably they probably did spur them on to give him a refund because of the bad press. But that video could have been published at the correct time with the blessing of my customer. And my customer said, once we get this straightened out, you can publish the video. He didn't care. But Tony needed it for whatever reason. He wanted it published, several days earlier than what he was going to have to wait, and he didn't want to do that. So, and he made a lot of money out of that video. And I guess what finished it for me was he was never in any way contrite about it. He never said, hey, I guess, if he'd come to me and said, you're right, I probably shouldn't have done that, but I just felt I needed to, then, we maybe could have talked, and come up with some clear kind of boundaries moving forward. But Tony was just, to hell with it. I published it, too bad. And I'm like, okay, too bad. But yeah, just the tiniest little bit of remorse or contrition would have been nice from my point of view anyway. But he really didn't care. It was like, to hell with it. This is what I'm doing. And this is what I did. And yeah, no, I'm totally unapologetic for it. Andy Nickel, when it comes to customer safety, buyer beware doesn't cut it. No, you're absolutely right. And I do think they're going to pick on the wrong guy, or maybe not pick's the right word, but they're gonna sell a car to the wrong guy who is either a lawyer or has got connections and has the wherewithal to take these people to court. Because a lot of people, like we're jumping in. I'd have sued him, I'd have this, and I'd have taken them to court, and they'd be done. And it costs money to take people to court. It costs money, and it can cost a lot of money without a guarantee of winning. And that is what they. That's basically how they operate. They operate on that premise that some people are going to be pissed off, but chances are they won't get sued. But one of these days I can't help but think they're going to run out of luck. Stray Bullet, higher octane fuel can make a difference in even low performance engine if there is a build-up of carbon in the combustion chamber. No, I see what you're saying. But that's, once that's cleared up, then, the gain's not going to be there. 1-800, I'm running 8 PSI on an Infinity G35, running 93 and with 11-to-1 to compression. The only thing saving that engine is the octane and timing. Oh, yeah. On a boosted engine, you need good octane. The fuel needs to be stable and a little bit slower burning. So higher octane, absolutely. And I mean, if you're running 8 PSI and 11-to-1 compression, you're up there. Like your effective compression ratio is with 8 PSI on top of the 11-to-1 is high. It's very high. So you'd have to have your timing knocked way back and running 93 at least. You'd probably be better off on 100 octane or 100 plus. And then you could probably bring a little bit of the timing back. But yeah, like that engine we were talking about earlier, like was 9-1, an old 253 Holden, and yeah, that it doesn't need a high octane. It's just wasted. Um, it's like giving me superfood and expecting me to be able to run a mile a few seconds quicker by giving me some superfood diet. It's like, no, that's not going to work. I couldn't run a mile, I'd die. It wouldn't matter what you fed me. And it's kind of the same. Aussie 98 Bron is still non-ethanol gas. Well, that's good. Some chat indicated that it's better suited to EFI and boost. I found it troublesome in these silly hot conditions with my small 4-barrel car. Yeah, ethanol is. It's a cheap filler for gas. It makes the gas go further. A lot of the gas stations here, it's added 10%, 15%, and honestly, it's just a way of beefing up. Not beefing up's not the wrong term, but it's a filler. It's so they can take 10 gallons of regular fuel and put a couple of gallons of ethanol with it, and it's so they get 12 gallons, and it's cheaper than 11 gallons of the real fuel. It's just a profit making thing. Where Bunny 35967? You not working cars? Okay, not sure what you mean, man. Wheeler King, as much as I like Tony, your response has been a breath of fresh air. All right, well, thanks, man. It's that whole thing has been really unpleasant for me, and I really wish it had never happened. Because Tony was a friend, and I'm down a friend, and who wins in that? Nobody wins. So yeah, it's. But hey, hopefully you'll keep watching, and I'm glad I've been able to give you a different side, or an additional side to that whole story. So yeah. I've had guys ask me to put false company logos on knockoff guitars, and I refuse to do it, mate. As you should. Wow. Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. Stand your ground. Don't do that bullshit. If they want to do it, you can't control what they do, but you can certainly control what you do, and you are. So good for you. How many American car companies have built a motorcycle? That's a good question. I have no clue. None at all. 63 F85. Hi Kiwi. I've learned through some of your videos how a car can look too good. That Cougar, for example. Yeah, that was a lemon, that thing. Ironically, I was talking about the Cougar at work this morning. Oh, there you go. That was one of the worst I've seen. And ironically, one of the best I've seen. That I walked up on that car and thought, man, this is a nice car. XR7 convertible. This is sweet. And then, like, the more you look, the worse it got. It's like, oh my word. Beagle Bob, does that Jack Apple taste like sour apple Jolly Ranchers? No, it's not, mate. No, I wouldn't make that comparison. But there's a definite. You can taste it. It's not overpowering. It's bourbon with a hint of apple. It's not overpowering. It's a little sweeter, which I've got a bit of a sweet tooth. So I quite like it. Stray Bullet, I used to put octane booster in my mini bike when I was a young lad. Yeah, octane in a bottle. How many millions of bottles of that have they sold under totally false pretenses? You cannot get octane in a bottle. It doesn't. That's not a thing. Josh Homan, Chrysler built a bike based on the Viper. Okay. I didn't know that. There you go. Thanks, guys. You taught me something. Madman machinations. The only way to make these people stop is to keep publicly shaming them. Yeah. And honestly, I really hope someone sues them for the damages as far as just the car goes. And yeah, unfortunately, I fear that it's going to take someone losing a life, and directly connect it with one of these cars. That's really going to, get them in court and get them in trouble. And I'm not talking about that particular dealership. I'm talking about consignment dealers in general. I had a Mustang on my channel that the guy bought on the internet from a car yard. Where was that? North Carolina or somewhere like that. And yeah, they had all sorts of shady reviews, and that's amazing how many people, just still keep buying from these places. But yeah, that one in North Carolina, they had a bunch of shady, not shady reviews, but bad reviews, because they were shady, and they're still going. They were still selling cars. Not enough people read the reviews. Chris Cadman nailed it. Volumetric efficiency is the key. I know my low compression 273 doesn't need 93 or higher octane. Runs fine on 89. Yeah, exactly. Max Level, good evening, Kiwi. What car did you love but Mrs. Kiwi was glad to see you get rid of, and have you built her dream car? No, there's probably not one that she was glad to see me get rid of. She doesn't like my Mustang, the KSV 9000, just because it's so loud and obnoxious. She doesn't like too loud and in your face. Because like I drive drive out of the house and up the street, and every neighbour knows I've left. So she doesn't really like that. But I'm not getting rid of it either. So have I built her dream car? No, I have not. We finally settled on the car she wants, and it's in the shop. And I have started working on it, and that's going to be an upcoming thing on YouTube. There's going to be a lot of video footage on that car. But yeah, that's a really need to get into it and get a lot done on it this year. Is my promise to myself, really. To her, I guess, at the same time. But yeah, it's one that I really want to dig into hard and fast very soon. John Gittins, I remember in the late 90s in New Zealand, the Zephyr Club would put a mug of avgas in a full tank of petrol to bring up the octane values. How would this affect the cylinders and valve? It wouldn't have really. A mug of avgas into a full tank of petrol would really, it'd be hard to measure. The difference would be so little. If because you're talking about, okay, let's say it was 89 octane and avgas was 100 octane. If it's a 10-gallon tank and you put, 1 gallon of avgas in it, you're only going to bump it. I can't do the math in my head, but you might bump it from 89 to 90. If you halved it, you'd end up with 95. If you put 5 gallons into a half full 10-gallon tank, it would split the difference. It would average out between the 89 and the 100. You're going to give you about 95. So putting a mug into a tank of petrol was, I'm not really sure what they were thinking. It wasn't going to make. The difference would be pretty much immeasurable unless you were a pretty clever chemist and could break it right down. Madman Machinations. Ethanol is a cheap octane booster. Okay. Interesting. Okay, that could well be a thing. Ethanol. Yeah, the guys that are running straight ethanol are able to put quite a bit of compression into their engines, aren't they? I honestly know what the octane rating of ethanol is. Straight bullet, ethanol is an oxygenator. Chris Cadman, bourbon time. Good, man. Good for you. What type of bourbon are you drinking on? This is what I'm drinking. Can you guys read that? That's how you should drink it. Man, I'm going to have to dash upstairs and get a plug because my phone's beeping at me saying I got 3% battery left. So hang on. Oh, I'm on the move. But I'm still with you guys. Josh Homan, aviation gas is often leaded, so you don't want to use it in cars. Now, why do you not want to use it if you've got a catalytic converter, you don't want to use it, right? Yeah, you're quite right. I was forgetting about catalytic converters. Hey, stay with me, guys. Oh, it's getting dark up here. I'm just going upstairs. you're getting an indirect tour of the house. Look at that. Now I need to find a charging cable. Hang with me, guys. That's not the right cable. Oh, yes, it is. I think. No, it's not. Oh dear. Hang on, guys. Hang on. I need a charging cable. I'm about out of battery. Hang on, guys. I know this is a little unprofessional, but the whole evening's kind of been a little bit that way. What's that? A bit of stick from the missus. All right. Anyway, here we are. Back again. I'm charging. All right, Beagle Bob, I don't have my tin hat nearby, so I won't go into the government subsidies of the GMO corn for ethanol fuel that reduces fuel economy and the amount of political kickbacks. Oh yeah, politics, man. Politics, it'll be the death of all of us, I'm telling you. Wheelie King, Harley Davidson, Buell, and Harley Davidson, Buell, Indian. Those are the only three that immediately popped to mind. Or was it the car companies that made motorbikes? Okay. Andy Nicol, I stopped watching UTG after all that, but I realised he burned all the friends on his channel. Well, that's another story. That does seem to be a pattern. Stray Bullet, we used to use MTBE as an oxygenator, but it was polluting the groundwater. Thank you, California Air Research Board and the EPA. Huh. Carillo69, I don't understand. What's wrong about publishing those flipper car videos? There's nothing wrong with publishing the flipper car videos. There's not. There's not a problem with doing it. There's a problem when you promise a friend not to do it, to promise a friend you will wait until you get the green light from the customer who actually owns the car. It's only if you had a car that was in that state and someone just took it upon themselves to video it and publish it and didn't ask you if you were okay with that, you could well be a little upset. And I promised my customer that I wouldn't publish the video until he gave me the green light to go ahead and do it. And that was the agreement with Tony, and he didn't stick to that agreement. He published it when he wasn't supposed to. It wasn't that he wasn't allowed to publish it anytime ever. It was that there was a time frame that had to be adhered to, and he chose not to adhere to it. So it wasn't that publishing it was wrong. It was publishing it when he did that was wrong. Speaking of ethanol, have you tried Crown Royal whiskey? Yes, I have. Yes. That's good. That's nice stuff. Steve Sadusky, hey Kiwi, do you plan on having Kevin Tates back on again? Yes, I do. And he's quite open to the idea. He enjoyed himself. He enjoyed your guys' company and all your questions, and he had a good time. Same with TC. They both texted me the next day and said, hey, when can we do it again? So, man, if I can get him back once a month, I'd be all about it. But, he's a guy that keeps himself very busy as well. So I will be bringing him back in front of you guys as soon as I can, honestly. Chris Cadman, have you got over the way toilets flush in the Northern Hemisphere? Yeah, mate, that wasn't the biggest culture shock coming here. Like the big thing was really not the direction of the toilet flush, but yeah, it's still funny. Yeah. What have we got? Jeff R. What? All octane boosters and bottles are bullshit? Yes, they are. Well, I've been conned over the years. What about cetane boosters for diesel? Not 100% sure, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, yeah, I suspect that's exactly the same. Thomas Grau, avgas is still leaded. Yes, it is, because of they don't have to meet the same emission standards, and lead is actually, if you're not running a catalytic converter, lead is good for your engine. It's a lubricant. It lubricates your valves, lubricates your valve guides even. You know, you don't get that valves eating into the seats like you do with non-leaded gas. Lead is, they put it in there for a reason, and the reason was it was kind to the engine. Wheelie King, Andy Nicol, he does seem to have a knack for that. I've been fact-checking him since the very beginning. He does not post BS, but he has a knack for burning bridges for sure. Chris Cadman, JD Kiwi. Okay, I'm not sure what that's about. The Dude house tour. Yes, it was a house tour. And most of the lights are out, so you didn't get to see much, I'm afraid. Mrs. Kiwi's camped up in the bedroom and just leaving me to it, so. Stray Bullet, they only typically make 2 grades of gasoline. The mid-grade is just mixing the 2 grades in the pump. Yeah, you're probably right there. The best, Kiwi, have you seen a white pointer? Not in the ocean, no. I have, I've seen them at like aquariums and stuff like that, but no. Unless you're talking about the Aussie twin white pointers, that's a whole different thing. And the Aussie viewers will know what I'm talking about. Chris Cameron, may as well have a piss cube. No, I don't need one, mate. Oh, damn, I left my bourbon's over there. I thought I left it downstairs. God, that would have been a tragedy. It's over here. I'll have to go and get it. Kiwi lives in a mansion. Yeah, it's a big house for 2 people, I'll be honest. It was, when we had the kids here, it was a bit, a bit more required, but it's way more room than 2 people need, I know that. Being empty nesters now. But it does have an awesome garage. I can get 5 cars in my garage, which is, this is awesome. When we first looked at this house, my wife, she was out of town, and she said, go and have a look at this place, it looks interesting. So I came in, walked into the garage and said, yep, okay, I want to buy this place. And I hadn't even seen the rest of the house. I'd seen a little bit of it, but I hadn't seen the whole house. But as soon as I saw the garage, it's like, yeah, I'm in. It's in. This is me. Whatever the rest is, I'll put up with it. Cut to the chase. Hi from Tauranga. Lovely spot, Tauranga. I like Tauranga. Some of my relatives live in Tauranga. It's a great place. Carillo, 69 hour. E85 has octane rating over 104. Okay. Depends a little if summer or winter here in Finland. Okay. So you're from Finland, buddy, Carillo. That's awesome. I didn't realise we had anyone here in the room from Finland. That's kind of cool. That's the place I want to go, Finland. I desperately want to go and watch the Thousand Lakes Rally in Finland. That's that's been on my bucket list for how long? 40 years. Yeah, I haven't got there yet, but I'm gonna. Chief, thanks for the dimly lit tour of your place. Yeah, like I said, we've kind of got the place a little shut down. The wife's in bed, and I'm talking with you guys. John Giddens, Kiwi Classics Coast Blair Witch Project. Oh, you guys are funny. Chris Cadman, Kiwi sir, you would have fun building a 65 Falcon wagon into a Mustang wagon. Ah, mate, yeah. I've got a picture somewhere of a real, it's a computer rendering. And if I remember, I'll try and put it up like as the picture for next week's live. But it's like a stretched wheelbase, two-door Mustang wagon, and it's just tremendous. It's just gorgeous. So yeah, I'll try and remember to use the picture in next week's thumbnail. It's a very cool looking car, but it's a rendering, but man, it's awesome. The dude, I wish they would have used unleaded paint on my crib. Yeah, that would have been good, wouldn't it? Oh well, not much you can do about it now, man. Do not get me started on burnt Scotch whiskey. What's burnt Scotch whiskey? You lost me there, bud. Big Daddy, hey man. Beagle Bob, does the cetane boost make the engine run quieter? My 7.3 responded very well to two-stroke oil. When the ultra-low sulfur diesel came about, the sulfur removal reduced the amount of lubrication in the fuel. Yeah, it's the fuel changing was not kind to a lot of engines. Carillo 69, okay, now I understand this video publishing thing. Thanks, Kiwi, for the info. Right, all the best for you and your business. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, there's a lot of people didn't quite get that whole story, but yeah, it's life moves on. Fleetwood, hey Kiwi and all, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you, man. Barracuda, I've heard that Speedway CA. Okay, did you hit send before you finished typing that? End of time. For the Ford 8.8 rear, I need 3-inch ARP studs to put on my Weld drag lights. How do I check the knurl to get the right studs? How do you check the knurl? You're going to be limited on 3-inch studs, ARP. Yeah, well, you're already getting the ARP ones. How do I check the knurl? It's probably, that ARP will have the knurls put on the studs, and there'll be a particular size that's machined for, like a particular sized hole that they need to go into. So I would reach out to ARP and say, hey, what size holes do I need to drill, for your 3-inch studs? And they should be able, they'll be able to tell you whether it's 7/16, half inch, or so many 64ths or something like that. There'll be a specific size. But yeah, as soon as you're using ARP studs, I would talk to them and get the info direct off them, because they will have been made to suit an exact size particular hole. Andy Nickel, I've wondered what nitrous does to boost. Does it affect octane? Well, nitrous is no, I don't think it does affect octane. Nitrous, my understanding with it, and honestly, I really haven't messed with it, so don't, this is what I think. So take it at that face value. It's what I think. It's not what I know. But as far as I think, or limited knowledge with nitrous, is it's really an oxygen. It's you're supercharging by putting in more oxygen. And that's why when you squirt in nitrous, you've got to actually squirt in fuel as well. But as it goes in under pressure, it cools as well. So it cools your intake charge, and the colder your intake charge, the more horsepower you make, which is why you have intercoolers to cool the intake charge down. So yeah, nitrous cools the fuel, it cools the charge, and it creates oxygen. So but you have to put more fuel to burn in with it. So thinking of it in those terms, I don't really see how it could affect the octane. Not directly. Might enable you to run a little bit lower octane because it's cooling the intake charge so much. So, because low octane fuels do not like heat in the, they do not like a high temperature charge of fuel and air mix. So yeah, that might help the octane level, but it won't boost directly the octane. Hope that makes sense. It kind of does in my head, kind of. Barracuda, here we go. I've heard that speedway bikes, 4-strokes, and cars use castor oil in the fuel for top-end lubrication. It's my favourite spell. Yeah, yep, you're exactly right. Yeah, castor oil. That was an Speedway. I always remember you go to Speedway at Western Springs in Auckland, and there was always that castor oil smell. That's a good. It is a good top-end lubrication. Yeah. Alan Shildroff, maturation has combined with a heavily charmed cask. This char is abundant with chemical compounds which provide burnt and nutty notes which are extracted into the maturing whiskey. Right, I'm with you. Okay, yep. Jack Daniels is very, they burn the inside of all their casks. They char them. That's part of their thing. Dr. Art. Dr. Art's in the house. Hello from Dr. Floor Wetdown. Yes, well, Dr. Art was working at my place for a few days last week, and everything he touched, I mean, I almost felt sorry for him because everything he touched just spilt everywhere. He was putting oil and antifreeze down, and like it was just, he made a mess. He did some good work, but he made a mess. So I gave him a bit of shit about that, but it was just bad luck, nothing more. But it was quite amusing. Stray Bullet. Nitrous has a big cooling effect in the cylinders rather than raising the octane and the level of the fuel. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Yeah, it cools your intake charge, which reduces detonation dramatically, which that job can fall to the octane rating trying to remain stable in a hot charge. But yeah, just cooling the charge down. Yeah, it takes all that hard work away from the octane. Chris Cadman, ciao Kiwi, have to take the fat dog out to the neighbour's yard for a poop. Oh, charming. Thanks for sharing that with us. That's a mental picture I didn't necessarily need, but Hey, thanks for joining us, Chris. I hope you had a good time, and see you next week. Andy Nickel, of course, nitrous oxide. Yeah. There you go. Beagle Bob, nitrous oxide should be 2 oxygen per nitrogen in each molecule. Oh, wow, we're getting technical now. Earth atmosphere is 21% O2 oxygen, and nitrous should be much more, allowing for more fuel in the chamber for the same air-fuel ratio. But I don't know. Yeah, that's another way of explaining it. Yeah, you're introducing oxygen, and you in turn have to introduce more fuel. And the beauty of it being under high pressure in the nitrous tanks is as it jets out, it gets cold. So yeah, it cools down the intake charge, introduces more oxygen, and that oxygen is just as much responsible for your energy that your engine produces as the actual gasoline. Like gasoline won't burn without oxygen. And oxygen doesn't really do much without gasoline. So yeah, it's the oxygen makes the power kind of in a way just as much as the gasoline does. Jeff I may have been conned yet again, but I'm trying some expensive Liqui-Moly diesel additive in the wife's Hyundai. It might be a bit quieter. Some of the additives, I think some of the oil additives can work. But yeah, there's a lot of snake oil in amongst these additives that you see in the gas stations and the Nappers and O'Reillys and stuff like that. A lot of it is marketing. It's a little bit like these 5-hour energy drinks that, drink this little teeny tiny bottle of 5-hour energy and, you'll be onto it for 5 hours. It's like, yeah, tried that. Doesn't work. It's going to take much more than a little teeny tiny bottle, like a 1.5 fluid ounces of some snake oil to perk me up for 5 hours, I can tell you. It'll take a lot more than that. Barracuda, I put castor oil in my mower's fuel once. It never ran better. Interesting. I've never played with it. I've never actually put it in. Alan Sheldroff, here's one for you, Kiwi. Macallan Robert Burns semi-quincentenary 1998 12-year-old whiskey. Gah! 0.7 of a litre, $14,418. Good grief! Wow, that's expensive. That's how much does that work out per shot? Wow, I can't afford a shot of it. Wow, that's incredible. $14,000. Is that American dollars too? I guess, I don't know. Macallan Robert Burns. Well, it's that's going to be an Irish whiskey, isn't it? Carrillo, just curious, how did you end up in Tennessee? Actually, my wife got offered a job up here in Tennessee, and a very good corporate job, and we followed the money. And I got to thank her for that, because when we did move here, her job enabled me to open the shop and basically have 6 months getting rolling, as it were, figuratively speaking. Getting some customers through the door and actually starting to make a bit of money. Because of the money she was making, I had 8 months to get the business off the ground. So she deserves a big thank you for that, don't you think? I think so. Stray Bullet investment grade whiskey, absolutely. Jeff, good quality bourbon seems like the best additive for us blokes. Yeah, I think so. I think it's better than that 5-hour energy shit. Absolutely, I do. Oh, look at that, I've caught up with the questions. I kind of got a bit behind there, I felt like, as I'm wandering around the house trying not to trip over and fall on my ass on live TV. Which I managed to do quite successfully, I thought. The two, go get her, so we can all thank her. No, she's quite camera shy. She's been around in a couple of the videos, but yeah, she does not like. Yeah, if I went and tried to get her into the picture now, she would not. No, she wouldn't want to do that. But she's a good lady. She puts up with my shit, so yeah, she can't be all bad. Barracuda, I wouldn't mind trying the whiskey found in Shackleton's hut in Antarctica. Is there some of that still around, is there? Wow. Straight Bullet, I probably have the largest collection of Jack Daniel's Bell of Lincoln bottles in the world. I don't even know what that looks like. Bell of Lincoln bottles. Okay, not familiar with that. Beagle Bob, what are your thoughts on body swaps for Mustangs? Like the SN95s to put a solid chassis on a first gen. Yeah, it's the trouble with body swaps seem to be very, very popular at the moment. There's a lot of, there's several sort of groups on Facebook and stuff like that on body swaps. And honestly, it seems to me like some people are doing body swaps for the sake of doing the body swap. Putting an early Mustang onto an SN95, I don't see the value of it. They're too wide. I've seen I've seen early Mustangs put on to maybe not SN95, but like that 2000 and mid 2000s Mustangs. That first of the retro kind of styling. And, I think it was like late 2000, and they're quite a bit wider. And I don't know, they just don't look right. The Mustangs are so well catered for aftermarket suspension. Like you can put, this Mustang 2 type, and it's not really a Mustang 2, but that's what they refer to it as. And the aftermarket Mustang 2 suspensions that you buy are actually really nothing like the original Mustang 2 that it started at. It's evolved so far from that original style. You put one of those front ends in it, and you put a 4-link in the back, which is pretty easy to do on an early Mustang, and you've got all you need, right there. Kevin Tate's, funnily enough, he built a '66 coupe years back. When I first met him, he was working on it, and he put a Schwartz chassis underneath that. And the problem with that was the full chassis was because it went under the floor. Kevin could never get the ride height down to where he actually wanted it, because the floor on a Mustang runs across, level with the bottom of the rockers, and the floor on a full chassis car generally runs across at the top of the rockers, so there's kind of somewhere for the chassis to hide. So the chassis doesn't hang down underneath the rockers. Well, you put like a full body, a unibody, onto an aftermarket chassis, be it Roadster Shop or Schwartz and a few of the others around that are making chassis. The cars ride very high on them, and if you like a car that's low, like I do, that's a kind of a problem. I'm not a big fan, and in saying that, I'm doing a body swap on this Sunbeam Alpine for the wife, and we're putting it onto a Miata floor pan. So I'm going to find out a lot more about doing body swaps in the near future. I think it's a little overdone. Some people have been putting Mustangs onto Honda Accord chassis and stuff like that. I saw a video clip of a guy who'd done that, and it's like, why? I don't necessarily get it. Checking out the chassis of a 61 Sunbeam Alpine, that the floor pan or the chassis of it was based off a 1948 Hillman Husky. That's a huge upgrade, going from a chassis that started in 48 to a Miata frame from 2000 is half a century of difference. So I think that's going to be a good upgrade. But SN95 under an early Mustang, I don't see it. Okay, Thomas Grau, what's the most ridiculous thing that rolled into your shop that had you laughing the hardest? Well, I've seen certainly ridiculous laughing the hardest. Not sure about the laughing thing. I had what was it? It was a Cadillac, like a 90s Cadillac. I've got a picture of it somewhere, that had been exported to Japan, and they used it like for a funeral car. And they had this, I don't have words for it, but this thing on the back of it, it was like a little mini Japanese temple shrine thing on the back, all in gold, this gaudy gold painted colour, built onto kind of the back of a Cadillac Seville that had been chopped down into like a pickup truck almost. And it was just the weirdest contraption. And I kind of couldn't believe my eyes. Like, what on earth is that? It was the weirdest thing, and he wanted to know if I could take all this Asian, Japanese funeral temple thing off the back of his Cadillac sedan that was kind of cut into a ute and make it an actual ute. And I'm like, no, I'm too busy. It was like, no, a 90s or 2000s Cadillac was like, bleh. and all that work, it was like, no, sorry, not for me. But yeah, but it was kind of like smiling for sure. It wasn't like hysterical laughing, but it was just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But I'll try and dig up that picture of that. There's 2 pictures I've got to find. Fred Nurk, yay, sunbeam time. I know you love your Fords, but consider the Toyota 1UZFE. Can put ITBs on it, throttle bodies, yep. Reliable, lightweight, and the closest thing you'll get to a Cosworth DFV. That look appeals, Cosworth DFV. Yeah, Toyota. Don't know. Might have a bit of a mental hurdle to get over putting a Japanese. Well, it's a Japanese chassis I'm putting in it, so I probably just need to get over myself, don't I? Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's. I think you've spoken to me before about that. I think you emailed me, and yeah, it's. I guess probably what holds me back a little is getting it tuned and getting it running on reasonably simply. So, but I mean, people are doing it, so you just got to figure it out, right? Keep Gen 1s and SNs original, Karai 69, there you go. Fred Nurk, and if you want to see body swaps, check out Retro Power Cars from England. Okay, they're specialising in body swaps, by the sound of it. Lort Burns, Barracuda, I have a 120-year-old bottle of booze. No wax seal, so we're not going to drink it. Yeah, well, it's probably worth more in the bottle than it is in your belly, I'm guessing, at 120 years old. Alan Sheldroff, Aura Bourbon ABV, 47.8%. 2008 release. Pappy Van Winkle. I've heard of Pappy Van Winkle. I've heard of that. Tommy Boschers was telling me about that. 23-year-old Kentucky bourbon Sitzel. Weller. Ooh, I've got some Weller, but it's not $10,000 a bottle Weller. No. I have got a couple of bottles of Weller, but yeah, that's like $100 and something bottles, not $10,000. Good Lord. The best. Kevin's car was called Jaded. Beautiful colour. Yes, it was. I mean, I worked on that car a little bit, getting him ready to go to SEMA back in the day. That was when I'd first met him, and that was a pretty cool car. You're absolutely right. Yeah, Jaded. And if you go to his channel, he's got video footage on his YouTube channel of that car. Jeff R, we're being encouraged to bring a bottle to our darts competition grand final tonight. Your apple bourbon has me thinking. Have you tried peanut butter bourbon? Mate, I cannot do peanuts. Peanut butter is just the worst. For me, obviously, it's massively popular with 99.9% of the population, but this little Kiwi weirdo does not like peanuts or peanut butter. I can't stand the smell of peanut butter. I certainly couldn't drink it in a bourbon. I'm sure for the rest of the world, peanut butter bourbon is great, but just me, it's, people ask me, have I got this anaphylactic thing with peanuts? No, I don't. I'm not allergic to peanuts. Something weird with me. Something was incorrectly wired at the factory, and the smell of peanut butter is just terrible. Like, I remember a few times I had to make like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for my kids for lunch, and I had to put the peanut butter on the bread like at arm's length, and turn my head away and kind of like try and butter the bread by braille, because the smell of it is just awful. It's very weird, I know, but I can't help it. It just makes me want to gag, the smell of peanut butter. Ugh. Anyway, enough about that. Richard Stanbury, greetings from East Tennessee. Hey man, how you doing? Hey Kiwi, tell me something. If you were restoring an old Ford F6 medium duty truck For service on the road, what upgrades would you do to the drivetrain and brakes? No computers. An F6, which model is the F6? I'm not even familiar with that. Is that like a true truck, a medium duty truck, F6? I'm not even sure what that's like. That's a bit hard for me to tell you. Drivetrain and brakes. Well, brakes are just, medium duty truck. So that has hydraulic brakes or air brakes? I don't know enough about them to really give you much info, mate. I mean, I appreciate the question, but you've kind of caught me on the hop there. I just don't know the truck. F6. I may know it, but just don't remember it. But try and prod my memory with an F6. I can't. When I'm on my laptop, I can like have a look at my phone and try and Google something while I'm still talking. But I'm on my phone, so I can't be Googling an F6 to even get an image of what it looks like. The dude, whatever happened to the Barracuda you were building? Mate, I've still got it. Mopar L's got the engine. And I'm struggling so hard to find time to get to my stuff. And the Barracuda is sitting in the corner of the yard, not getting any better, sitting outside. It's really not, but there's no room inside, and I don't have time to get to it. I just don't. That's a fairly big job, because that's a car that needs, that's a shell. It's pretty much a bare shell, so that needs everything, so that needs quite a lot of time spent on it. And I've just got other priorities that are just a little bit higher than that Barracuda, as cool as it is. I hope to get to it one of these days, but it's doubtful it will be this year, to be honest. Barracuda, I think they left that case of whiskey in the Shackleton's hut. Okay. Madman Machinations, to be honest, that Cadillac sounds cool. Don't know why he'd want to undo all that weirdness. He bought it back from Japan. He actually purchased it in Japan and brought it back here. They do. There's a few people bringing a few vehicles in from Japan, and I'm not sure what his plan was. Why he brought it back. It was just odd, to be honest. It was a very odd looking. The thing on the back was just like people would just stare and like slack jawed at it, like, what is it? And I said, what is it? Because when I first saw it, I really didn't know what it was for. 68 Falcon 289. Hello Kiwi. Hey man, I just sold my Falcon, my 66. Yeah. So, is that what you've got? A 69 289 Falcon? Cool car. Snow Crusher. Google Bozo Zoku style from Japan for a good what the fuck laugh. Is that those little minivan things with giant wings on them and like front splitters, like front bumper splitters that are about 3 feet out in front of the car? Is that those things? Madman, I don't like flavoured liquors. Peanut butter bourbon sounds gross to me too. Yeah. Fred Nick, retro-powered cars are top flight. They certainly can be done right. Yeah, absolutely. Orlando Pockets, hi Kiwi, hope you're catching the Falcon bug for yourself. I'd like to see you get your hands on a 67 with a stock 289. Yeah, it's that's a car I'd have for sure. Yeah, that's the car I would own for sure. And I've got a 63 Falcon. So yeah, it's not I don't have the Falcon bug like some people do, but yeah, I've got a mild dose of it. Yeah. Fred Nick, lots of 1 UZFE. It's very small writing on my phone. Sorry, guys. Being put at MX5s in New Zealand. Okay. Well, yeah, it's probably... it's interesting because that's essentially what I would be putting into. What I would be putting it into is an MX5. or a Miata. They call them Miatas here. So other people are doing it. That helps. You can take a little bit of the guesswork and the head scratching time out of it if someone's already done it, and you can kind of get a little bit ahead of the game, and, basically using other people's experience, which is always good. I certainly wouldn't be too proud to say, hey, how did you do this, or can you send me a photo of that, and how did you get that in here, type of thing. So that's interesting, Fred. Yeah. Richard Stanbury, let's say 48 Ford F6, hydraulic brakes, flathead 8, is sitting in a junkyard. Okay. 48, hydraulic brakes. Well, the flathead would have to go. You can almost hear the cries of objections from the flathead fans as those words leave my mouth. The flathead V8 was a wonderful thing for its time. The reality is they didn't make much horsepower. There's all sorts you can do to them. You've got to do a ton to them to get them to 300 horse. Whereas there's an awful lot of 4-cylinder engines now that are making 300 horse. There's a lot easier ways to get 300 horsepower than hot rodding a flathead V8. So for me, that would have to go. And even just a small block Ford, like just a 302, which is cheap as chips. And, that's going to give you, a lot more horsepower than the flathead ever had, a lot more reliability, a lot less overheating issues that the flathead had. So that would be kind of the first thing. And brakes, it's probably not something you're going to be able to buy kits for. You have to upgrade it. Like figure out bearings and figure out a hub to go on the spindle. It's probably a beam axle, isn't it? 48. It's probably going to be a beam axle. So it's a matter of finding a rotor that you can get onto the spindles that you've got, and then mounting a big caliper to it. And I would say just go as big as you can. If it's depending on the diameter of the wheels, obviously if you've got 15-inch wheels on it, you're going to be stuck with the diameters. Small block Ford, or even the old FE, find yourself an old 390 or 352 even. All that's going to be a huge upgrade from a flathead. Well, we're running out of time, guys. It's getting late. John Giddens, did you bring Marmite back to the... My wife did, yes. They brought when we came back from New Zealand, we had, I think, 1.5 suitcases full of food-type contraband, Kiwi-type food. Fred Nerd, Marmite, yuck, Vegemite is super. There you go. Yeah, that war will wage on forever. The Marmite versus Vegemite. Not a big fan of either, to be honest. Orlando Pockets, I like all the Falcons, but I like the later models with the little V8s best. I've had a few Falcons over the years, wish I still did. There you go. You just have to buy another one, man. Just have to buy another one. They're actually really, you pick them up. They're priced right. That's the good thing. One of the good things about them, they're priced right. Barracuda, a weird car I repainted years ago was a VJ Valiant station wagon. Savaloy red. That was on some high-rise four-wheel drive chassis, really unstable. It felt like it could roll over very easily. And you're probably exactly right, it probably could have. The best, Cadillac did make a thing called flower cars or flower truck, It was kind of almost like a ute, but that was kind of back in the 50s and stuff, I think, if we're talking about the same thing. But this one that I had at work was definitely like late 90s, 2000s Cadillac, that kind of just blobby, Blair, like style-free Cadillac that they made, for a little while. And just with this big gold tomb on the back of it. I think it was meant to be a hearse, and they put the body or the ashes or whatever in the back of it and took it to wherever it was going. But it was just so highly decorative, and I don't mean like pictures, but actually carved and sculpted. It was 3-dimensional, you know. It was literally like, you know, like a somewhat miniaturized version of a Japanese, I don't know, sacred, you know, religious type place. Yeah, it was really odd. Really odd. I will try and dig out the picture. So the picture will be on my phone somewhere. I just got to go looking for it. And I'll try and get it up for you guys. But that's going to be next week. All right, guys. Well, I know I started a bit late, but I'm still going to try and kind of wrap it up now. And yeah, so we'll just try and run through these questions quickly. Orlando Pocket-Side, my youth having the guts to speak the truth about flatheads. Well, it is what it is, you know. I mean, for its day, it was superb. Like, Henry Ford was a freaking genius. But yeah, times change, man. Snow Crusher, brother-in-law at a 61 Falcon, 144 2-speed, couldn't get out of its own way. Yeah, they were slow. They were slow, economical, but slow. Stray Bullet, keep the flathead you need to put some Arden heads for it. Oh my goodness, you know, have you bought a set of Arden heads lately? Oh my God, they're like super expensive. Jeff R, 4-door Valiants, typical of the 60s and 70s classics, still shunned even if they are low mileage or rust free. Here they are, yes. I'd have to say. Here they are. Aussie, no, they love them. Australians don't have a thing about being 4-door or 2-door. They don't differentiate that much. But here in the States, a 4-door Valiant, 60s, yeah, that's a really hard sell. It's a really hard sell. You kind of got to make it so cheap. Someone's just going to, I've got to buy that because it's just nothing. Stray Bullet, any low mileage rust-free classic is pretty rare these days. That's very true. That's very true. But I'll tell you what, yeah, 60s, 70s Valiants, yeah, they're still not worth very much, low mileage or not. Madman, good night Kiwi. I was cooking dinner, chicken rotatini Alfredo. Oh, very nice, very fancy, very fancy. Good for you for cooking that up. That's awesome. All right. Orlando Pockets, yeah, even 4-doors with 6 in them are like gold now for anything in decent shape. Yeah. I mean, I don't know the Aussie market that well, but from what I see, little dribs and drabs I see, it's like, yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's it. That's another night gone. Had a good time. Sorry about the view, the little vertical view. I'll try and get to the bottom of my computer issues during the week this week and not wait till next Tuesday night to find out I've got a problem. So sorry about that. Thanks for hanging in with me. And in the meantime, get back to work on your cars. Have some fun. Go and drive it. And, yeah, get back to me next Tuesday and tell me what you did. All right, guys, have a great week. Take it easy, and I will see you on the next live. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.